To Celebrity Radio, it's Alex Belfield talking to some of my favourite people, some of the country and the world's biggest stars, and a man with a brand new Christmas CD. Daniel O'Donnell has released Christmas, 2 CDs and a DVD, and I'm delighted to say he joins us now. How are you?
Great, Alex. Lovely to talk to you.
We do this about every 6 months, and I always ask you the same question. You're still as popular, you're still as handsome, you're still as loved. It's a miracle, isn't it? What a blessing.
Well, the handsome part is a real miracle, but I think you need to go to Specsavers.
You are delicious, and we found this out on Strictly. I mean, those legs, it must be interesting for you at this time of year to switch on BBC One. Do you remember it now with fond memories?
I just love Strictly. I love it. I loved it before I was on it. I was terrified while I was on it. I loved it, and I love it even more now that I watch it. It's a great show, and I mean, I would like to have been better. I love dancing. I just love dancing, but I couldn't get myself organised to be in the right place at the right time. Do you know, I kind of put it down to being organic.
Well, you've either got rhythm or you haven't. And let's face it, when we look at somebody like Alexandra Burke this year, I know she's had a lot of negative press, but my God, that girl can A, sing and B, move.
I think this year the standard has been incredible. And I mean, even early on, there was people being voted out that could have been in it now. You know, that we Ashton boy, he was voted out, you know, fairly early on. He could have been still in it in the final. It's just unfortunate that, you know, when there's a lot of good people, that some will go way before their time. But I'm loving Debbie, you know, as well. And I just think for the older group of us that was on different years, it would be fantastic if Debbie came through.
Wouldn't it? I mean, for me, it's interesting on that show to see how life is not fair and show business is not fair. The public will decide who they like and who they don't, and no amount of Twitter followers will change that. It's extraordinary, isn't it? The public fall in love with some people more than others.
I know, but, you know, any one of the ones that's left now would be worthy of the glitter ball. Because they are brilliant. I mean, you were saying about Alexandra. It's unbelievable. And I don't care whether somebody has been dancing, if they've got training, whatever they've got. You know, there's some of us who could be training from now till doomsday and we wouldn't dance like that.
Have you ever worked with Debbie, and did you ever work with Paul Daniels?
I met them a couple of times. I met them one day, especially in Dublin, in the TV and the radio studio, and you know, we were just there chatting. Lovely. I mean, he was lovely and she was lovely. You know, and I think, you know, not wanting to call out for anybody, but you know, it'd be such a wonderful thing for her to win it as well, because, you know, and for Alexandra. I mean, both of them, you know, Alexandra lost her mum earlier this year, and I know you can't go and say, oh, it's because of any story. It's their ability to dance at the end of the day, but you know, it's anybody that wins it, I would be happy now with those that are left.
Christmas is such a lovely time, and you've really summed it up perfectly this year with this fantastic new double CD and DVD. I was listening in the car the other day, and it's perfect. Is Christmas for you special? I mean, you've been such a family man for so many years, and I guess home is where Christmas is at heart, isn't it?
I love Christmas. You know, I love the whole run up to Christmas. I love the decorate. I would put up the Christmas tree in September if I was allowed. I just love Christmas. I love it. And I always, I mean, this year we're not actually spending our Christmas at home. We're having renovations done to the house. So we're out of the house, but we're staying with our daughter, Siobhan, and her husband, Gavin, and our little grandchild, who is the centre of our universe, Olivia. She's 2 since August. But I always love being part of the service, the mass, and singing with the choir and our local chapel at home. But even though I'm not going to do that this year, I love the service, and I'll I always go and be a part of it. So yes, I love Christmas, I have to say.
What's wonderful about this double album, and of course the DVD that was filmed last year, we've got everything from the modern classics. It's beginning to look a lot like Christmas, which is fabulous, and Winter Wonderland, but there's also those nods to faith and religion as well, the First Noel, songs like that. I wonder whether your faith has ever been rocked. I've been thinking of some of the things that happened this year, and I was in Vegas in October when that terrorist attack happened. In fact, I'd just flown in that afternoon. And for me, faith has been something that I've questioned this year. How can these things happen? At Christmas, you think even more about that, don't you?
It's hard to understand, and the more you live, when you have a belief, it's not a proper belief if you don't question it. We all question. I mean, even Thomas, was the one who questioned, and he was right there and seeing it with his own two eyes, but he questioned it first. So, how can we 2,000 years later not be expected to question? I suppose we have to just hope and pray that somehow this world will get better. I can't make it any better, but I just pray that, please God, somehow, the evil that's in the world and the terror that's in the world it's beyond belief what's happening.
And of course, a time when your faith is tested the most is during illness. I know we spoke many years ago about Majella and her battle, and I know she got through that, and that must have been a testing time too. Firstly, how is she?
She's good. Yeah, she's good. She just had a checkup recently. She had some issues, but thank God they proved to be nothing, and they just keep an eye on her from time to time. But and it's worrying, and she worries, obviously, if there's something not right. She wasn't like that before, but, you can't help but if there's something not right, you think, my goodness, is this it? But thankfully, we're very fortunate that she's fine, and please God, it'll stay that way.
I remember interviewing you in a hotel room in London just before you got married. I wonder now, some 10 years on from that, nearly 20 years, in fact, how it is for you and what she's brought to your life. Is there any way you can imagine life without her, because you've become such a team at this point?
If you asked me before, I met Majella, I would say that everything was terrific. And you really don't know what you miss until you have it. You don't know how it will be. And I have to say, and I will say, there are people who are meant to be single, and it's not always what makes people as relationships or being together. But if you find that person that complements you totally, there's nothing to compare with it. And in our case, we were very fortunate. Now, that doesn't mean that we don't have some heated discussions. We certainly do. And, they're very necessary too. But we really do get on well, and we're very blessed, And I suppose when I think of what Majella brought to my life, as well as herself, she brought two children who, have treated me so well. And then, Siobhan then given us Olivia, and there's another grandchild going to be born, please God, in January. And, I can't, every day I WhatsApp that child to see her and to talk to her, no matter where I am. And, to want to do that is, it's just, I can't tell you what it's like.
And then, of course, the love from your fans is an added level of adulation.
Very grateful. In fact, I have an album recorded, and one of the songs that was written for me by a man at home is called I'm Grateful. And it talks about what I do and how it says I'm grateful in the chorus.
And there seems to be no sign. I talk about you and Cliff in the same way. I suppose Michael Ball's got it as well. These people who follow you around, who just adore you without any questioning whatsoever. They just love every album. They love every tour, and they follow you. I notice you're back on the road from the 8th, later this week in Glasgow, Southport. You're coming to Nottingham on the 11th, Harrogate, Bournemouth, Plymouth. No matter where you go, they come. The tour ends on the 17th in Brighton. It must be fantastic to still be selling huge venues, because most people have a peak peak in their career and then they disappear quickly. You've never had that.
No, I've been very lucky. I mean, in the last wee while, you know, when we started out, you know, a lot of the audience, you know, are a little bit older. And, you know, when I go back to thinking 30 years ago when I started touring, those people that were 50 and 60 then are 80 and 90, and a lot of them are not able to come. Some have passed on. And, you know, there's certainly a difference in the amount of people coming to the shows. There's not quite as many as used to be. So we're kind of hoping that a new group of people will start coming out. Because I know there's a lot of people who come to the shows for the first time and they can't believe that they didn't come before. You know,
that's true.
You know, that it's such a fun show and the music is surprising to them, what they would like to hear, but they don't realise it. But we still have a huge amount of people that have been coming for all the years.
And I presume Strictly didn't hurt. Are you still doing the old foxtrot in the kitchen, or are you going to classes?
No classes, but I love the foxtrot in the kitchen.
Just mind the animals. We don't want any accidents or things like that.
I know.
What I love about you as well is you do give value for money. In a time when people are putting together 9-track CDs and selling them for $12.99, you go the other way, 2 CDs and a DVD. Value for money is very important because money is tight and people come and invest in you and you want to give back, don't you?
Well, I suppose it's important. And also in the show, you know, our show with the break would last around 3 hours or sometimes more than 3 hours. And I like it. I just don't like going to a show that is over before you know you're sitting down. And I think that people go to great efforts, both from a financial point of view and indeed, you know, the whole thing of getting to shows. So I like to think it's worth their while.
And then, of course, this time of year, there's 2,000 people coughing at you. How worried do you get about your voice and whether you'll sound like Daniel O'Donnell tonight?
Well, I mean, you know, it's inevitable. Sometimes you get a cold. When we were in America, I got bronchitis and I sang for a week, you know, not struggling, but a little bit under the weather. But, you know, you get out there and you get an extra energy from the audience and you know, it's amazing what you can do even if you are under the weather. And this show that we taped, Mary Duff had the worst chest infection. And she went out and she sang big songs that you wouldn't believe there was anything wrong with her. It's only when she spoke you could tell. So, you know, she's a trooper as well.
And the Christmas tour must be extra special, going out there at this time of year, singing these type of songs to your audience. Is there any way of describing that feeling of the pin focus on you, with those people staring at you and you there to entertain them, and then the clap at the end?
It's tremendously enjoyable. Absolutely, just fantastic.
I always love talking to you. Congratulations on everything. We wish you a very, very Merry Christmas and a happy 2018. We look forward to talking to you then. I notice you're off to America next year as well. That's going to be exciting.
Yeah, we'll be in Florida in February, but I'm sure I'll talk to you before we start touring again in April. We're doing another tour throughout the UK in April, so I'll talk to you to tell everybody about that.
Can't wait. I'll come and see you as well. We'll do another face-to-face and video chat. I'd love to do that. The 2 CD and DVD Christmas with Daniel O'Donnell is available now. You can also see him on tour starting later this week. The 8th of December in Glasgow, Southport, Nottingham, Harrogate, Bournemouth, Plymouth, Brighton, Symphony Hall next year as well. Blackpool, Gateshead, Doncaster. You can find them all on the website. Just Google Daniel O'Donnell. Thank you for your time, Daniel.
Not at all, Alex. Thank you and Merry Christmas.